You're listening to The Latino Nerd. Uncut, uncensored, unfiltered. Get dirty and keep it nerdy.
The early 2000s. If you were fortunate enough to be around during then, you remember it. The fashion, the movies, the action figures, all the good shit. But on tonight's episode of The Latino Nerd, we're going to talk about my favorite aspect of the early 2000s, the music. Yes, the music. Welcome to another episode of The Latino Nerd. And joining me once again, you may remember her from last week, Queen of the Universe, the Slay Queen herself. Shreddy Kreuger is back.
Yes, she's back.
Thank you for joining me again.
Thank you for having me again. Happy to be here.
Nice. So, on this episode, Kara and I are going to, basically, we're going to fangirl and reminisce of, wow, it seems so long ago. That's 20 years. Wow. And
yeah, man, we're getting old.
We are. And who better to bring you your guide to early 2000s music than a couple of 30-plus-year-old teensters?
Doesn't get much better than this. Living the dream.
Yeah. I wish I still had my trip pants and my garbage t-shirt.
I really almost dressed up for the occasion, but I decided black eyeshadow was probably good enough.
Yeah, that'll do. It's like, if you were around in this era, now you cherish the days where you go to bed early. So
I know that's right.
Hell yeah, my days of the when I don't want to say my days of the band tees are over because I still have plenty, but I'm definitely beyond the smoking in front of the mall phase.
Oh yeah, fun and games.
Oh yeah. The good old days. Sitting around with my my giant boombox hanging in front of Fun and Games. And I played everything from fucking like DMX and White Stripes to like Family Force 5 and Atreyu, just depending on my mood.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I was the same way.
Oh, what a fun time. So all about the early 2000s episodes, or the music rather. So for this one, we're going to keep it strictly to like the iconic albums. There were so many great like emo, screamo, and metalcore albums, but we're going to keep it to the ones that chances are you guys at home still bump on a regular basis, because I sure shit do. And I guess what better way to start it than the album that I consider the ultimate like gateway drug? For me, it all started with Hybrid Theory.
Oh, okay. So we're going back.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me how it started for you with Hybrid Theory.
Okay, so my story with early 2000 music starts how all, good stories start. Church. Don't laugh. When I was younger, I was in this mentoring program for like inner city kids. Like I wasn't like a bad kid, but I was just, I was in this really awesome mentoring program. And my mentor was actually really cool, and he would take me to church with him every Sunday. And I have to tell you, growing up in like a black church, I'm used to like waking up at like 7:30 a.m., going to church at like 9, and not getting home till like 4 or 5 p.m. So like going to church with like my white friends was a whole new experience because I was in and out in like 2 hours, and I was just like, whoa, like that's it.
Oh yeah, because they just want our money and our little boys, and they want to keep it moving.
But yeah, they came out, they sang their songs. A couple people got baptized, sang some more songs. We had the sermon, and we were out the door. And I was like, I can get used to this. I'm doing whole like job shifts at church and shit. But anyway, through that church, I'd met a group of friends, and they all had like biblical names. It was like Matthew, Luke. I'm pretty sure there was a Mark somewhere in there. And I had always listened to like different music as a kid. I grew up on the Spice Girls. Big Britney fan. I listened to like Green Day, but I really wasn't into like heavy shit. And then I got to church, and these kids at church were talking about Linkin Park, and I was like, Linkin Park? Who's Linkin Park? So I remember his name, Gabe, which I don't know if they'll ever see this, but in case you guys are, hey, what's up? We're all old now. So he made me a copy of Hybrid Theory, and he goes, you should listen to this. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I went home, I started listening, and I think I was hooked immediately. Like before like Paper Cut was even done, I was like, holy crap, this is awesome.
And that was it? That was the first one for you?
That was it. That was my Hybrid Theory was my gateway drug.
See, I feel like I listened to Hybrid Theory and I liked it and I enjoyed Linkin Park and bands of that era, but I feel like I was still stuck in kind of nu metal back then because that's what my brother was into, like Slipknot, Korn, Mudvayne, like all those bands. System of a Down was a big one. And I feel like I didn't really get into like emo screamo until I want to say maybe Silverstein or Underoath.
Ooh.
So maybe I'm going more like 2007 era.
Which is still a great era, honestly.
That's when I really went from like nu metal to emo screamo. That was it for me. Like after high school, I think in high school I was still really pop punk and metal.
Right. I mean, it was pretty much the same, but by like Hybrid Theory was like my starter point, but by freshman year of high school, I was already on like Lamb of God, and I'd gotten into Kill Switch, and I believe my first exposure to like real screamo was, remember when Victory Records used to give out like those fucking like sampler albums?
Ah, yes.
Yeah. And that was back when they gave out those sampler albums, and like Fuse played Victory Records commercials so much you would think that like fucking Tony Brummel owned the network.
Yes.
And I kept getting Ohio is for Lovers stuck in my head. So I'm walking through the halls of high school like sophomore year, and I'm just like, and I can't make it on my own. And I'm like, no one will know this song, no one at all. So no one can help me and tell me what.
Hawthorne Heights was a big one for me. I feel like that was more, I didn't get into like the heavier side of like emo screamo until later. I feel like I was late on that. I feel like the poppier side of it was what kind of eased me into it. I think like the heaviest stuff I was listening to at the beginning was probably like A Day to Remember's first album.
That's a good. I mean, I can't say I was because I still am super into pop punk, but I was a big Newfound Glory fan as a kid. Like
Yeah, I love Newfound Glory.
Sticks and Stones, another iconic album. Sticks and Stones to this day, it's one of those albums where if it starts playing randomly, like if one song from it plays on shuffle, I have to immediately listen to the rest of the album now.
Yeah, that's a great album. I loved that album. I was super pumped because I think that kind of was a more mature like production than their first album. And they kind of had like redone some songs that they had done like earlier on for their previous album, and that was like Sticks and Stones, man. I like really sunk my teeth into that.
Yeah, definitely. What was another big album for me from that era? Well, we can't talk about iconic pop punk albums and not mention the obvious classics like Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, which I only just finally caught the joke behind that album title like 7 years ago.
Welcome to the party.
Like 7 years ago, and it was like, take off your pants. And, oh, that's good.
I wasn't a huge Blink fan. I'm still not a huge Blink fan. I don't know. They're fine. I like their popular songs, but other than that, I don't like seek them out, and anything they've done recently might as well not exist as far as I'm concerned.
Now, see, I'm on the opposite opinion. I actually think that new Blink is better than old Blink, but I'm also a little biased because I love Alkaline Trio. So
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Top number one, probably iconic album for me would be, I mean, we gotta represent where we're from with this one. We gotta talk about Taking Back Sunday.
Oh God, yes. Cute without the E is what I aim for.
I don't even remember how I found them. They might have been on like a sampler. They probably were on a sampler because back then I feel like that's really how you had to find music. Either someone had to show it to you or you got like a record sampler. Maybe you were lucky to stumble across something on the internet, but it wasn't really like that back then. And I don't even remember how I found that album, but I remember like going to buy it and listening to Cute Without the E. And I remember like running next door to my neighbor's house and just banging on her door. And I was like, you got to come over. You got to listen to this. And she was super into like hip hop at the time and rap. And I was like, you got to just come over and listen to this. And she was like, I don't want to listen to that shit. And she came over and she was hooked. And now she's like my show buddy. I take her to all my shows with me because we're all into the same music now. So she can thank me for that.
Good shit. Now, it was a little different for me because, I grew up in Patterson, and back then I had like a few friends who were into it, but for the most part, most of the people I knew really, really weren't into it. So when I first heard, I think it was Cute Without the E, I was like, oh my God, like this song is amazing. Like I need friends who, So I tried to tell my older sister about it because my older sister was also into, like, she was my introduction into a lot of the shit that I'm into now. And she goes, I'm glad you're excited. She goes, but I really don't like this. She was like, but you like it, and that's fine. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, my older brother was definitely not into the kind of music that I was into. I more so kind of followed in his footsteps. But like I said, he was into heavier stuff, more metal. So when I started kind of finding my own taste in, freshman year, maybe like late middle school, early high school, like that's the stuff that I really gravitated towards. And I didn't have anyone to get excited about it with. until I started making friends at school, like in band or whatever.
Right.
And then I had people that I could get hyped with it, about it with. But other than that, I had to drag my neighbor into everything. That poor girl.
Right.
So, that was it for me. But like, Story of the Year, Taking Back Sunday,
Oh, God,
Starting
Paige
Line,
Avenue.
Early November, like all those bands, that was my shit. Like that was it for me. The Used.
You can't mention you can't talk about iconic albums and not talk about In Love and Death. Everyone I know, myself included, either knows someone or is someone that has something related to that album tattooed on their body. It's law.
Not me. I don't think I know anyone actually, and I definitely don't have any. I have one singular band tattoo. I've managed to go my 33-year lifespan and only get one band tattoo.
I have 3.
What are they? You gotta tell us now.
The Used, Bayside, actually 4. The Used, Bayside, Chiodos, and in a big shocker, the Cottonmouth Kings. Yep.
One of their songs was in Scream. One of their songs was in Scream too. So I'm going to give you a little credit there.
And that is when I became a Cottonmouth Kings fan, when I heard Suburban Life.
There you go. All right. So I can accept that. My one singular band tattoo that I have, believe it or not, is Set Your Goals. And I know a lot of people aren't into them. Yes, I have a Set Your Goals tattoo. I have their lyrics from Our Ethos tattooed on both of my feet.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I have the heart from the Love and Death album, the Bayside Bird, the KMK Crown, and my favorite Chiodo song, which is Life is a Perception of Your Own Reality, going across.
Okay. Decent choices, all of them, except for maybe the Cottonmouth Kings one.
You know what? I'm gonna fight you, and I don't regret it because their music has declined in quality, but I am still a Cottonmouth Kings fan, so I don't regret it.
You can always cover it up if you decide you want to get rid of it.
Maybe one day, maybe not though.
All right, so iconic albums.
Well,
what else you got for me?
For me, I don't know how iconic this may be for everyone else, but I would feel like I let a whole generation down if I didn't mention Getting Away with Murder. Papa Roach.
Okay.
It was funny watching Papa Roach go from nu metal and tracks like Last Resort and She Loves Me Not, and then all of a sudden they came out with Scars, which I feel like a whole generation of emo kids can relate to. I think there are much better songs on that album, but I see where Scars is a big number for a lot of people.
Papa Roach was my first concert ever.
Nice.
Yeah, in 8th grade, Papa Roach and Head PE, who I don't even think are making music anymore, and that's probably for the best.
They actually just put out a new album, Class of 2020, and it's actually kind of dope.
Oops. I just like to throw shade without knowing facts. It's fine.
It's all good. Shade me if you want. I do it all the time.
Papa Roach. Okay, I can accept that.
What else? Oh man. Now I know people are gonna hate me for this, and I have to mention it because it is an iconic album. But I am throwing a disclaimer out there. If you are watching, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I do have to mention 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge because of its iconic status, but I really don't care for My Chemical Romance.
I'm gonna I'm gonna be with you on that one. I'm not a huge MCR fan. I've seen them a couple times live just because they were playing with bands that I actually liked. I like a handful of their songs, like the popular ones, maybe like 3. I might have like 3 saved on my Spotify. But yeah, I know a lot of people who are diehard MCR fans, and I missed it. I don't know if I just don't get it, if it's over my head or what. It's just not for me.
Yeah, I had to add it to the list, but it was very like it was like a begrudging kind of addition, and I'm like, I have to because I know so many people who love that album, and it does have bangers. There are a few great tracks up there, so I'm not gonna pretend like I hated the album, but I'm like, it has to go here. I can do without it, but it has to. So there, I added it. We're gonna move on.
I think it deserves a spot on the list just because of the impact that it had on our generation, and I think on other musicians, obviously pop culture in general. So I think it belongs to be talked about, but just because you and I aren't fans of it doesn't mean that
Everybody
it's
else
not.
is exactly. Um. Well, this would be a terrible list if I didn't put "Take This to Your Grave" on it. Yeah.
I fucking loved that album. If I could have melted that CD in my CD player, it would have been that and probably the Census Fail EP or Let It Unfold You.
Oh my god. Yes.
that would have been it. Like I couldn't live without those albums. I love them.
I'm glad you. I like the segue right into Census Fail. I love it. Now, see, as far as both Census Fail and Fall Out Boy, they're one of the. I mean, they're like two of the few bands where it's like when you talk about iconic albums, it's like From Under the Cork Tree can stand alongside Take This to Your Grave.
I agree.
It's just as great. And Census Fail, I feel like Still Searching also stands alongside Let It Unfold You.
Oh, that album's so good. So good. I mean, I'm a big Census Fail fan, so I'm biased. Like, Life Is Not a Waiting Room was also an incredible album.
Yeah.
I probably have seen that band more than any other band, and I've been to a lot of shows, and I think I've seen Census Fail more than anyone else.
That is me with A Day to Remember.
Okay.
I've seen A Day to Remember more than any other band ever.
I've only seen them a couple times, but if I had to take a guess at how many times I've seen Census Fail, it's gotta be close to 20. It's at least in the high teens.
Right. Well, we would have seen them together, but COVID had other plans.
And here we are doing a podcast instead. So we just got to make the best of it.
Oh, yeah. Strangely enough, I've actually never gotten to see my favorite band live because they very rarely tour the U.S. And the one time they did, and I had my ticket in hand, my dad passed away a week before the show. And I was like, I'm just never going to get to see them live. It's not in the cards.
That's a good reason to miss a show. Who's the band?
Billy Talent.
Oh, okay. I saw them at, I want to say it was either like a Warped Tour or maybe Bamboozle, but I think it was Warped Tour. Maybe? Or like HF Festival or something. I saw them once a long time ago, and it was like in passing kind of thing. It was definitely at a festival for sure, unless I'm hallucinating and I'm thinking of like another band.
No, it's very possible. I'm pretty sure they played Bamboozle, and I actually remember that because I was going with friends, and no offense to any of these friends, because I know they're probably listening and watching, but in hindsight, I really should have gone by myself because a whole bunch of shit went wrong, and we got there late, and Billy Talent had just finished.
Oh, that sucks.
And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. But my one friend was like, well, the saving grace is that Family Force 5 starts in 15 minutes. And I was like, fine. Okay.
That is not a saving grace.
It was to me. I love Family Force 5.
I only know that one song.
Love Addict.
Yeah.
That's a great song, but it doesn't do the rest of their discography justice at all.
Yeah, see, if I hear like one song and I don't like it, I form opinions very quickly. It's like I either like it or I don't. And I'm very stubborn in that way.
That's fair.
And I know I probably missed out on a lot of good shit because of that, but I am extremely stubborn. It's like I heard that one song and I was like, it's kind of lame. And I just never looked into it any further.
That's totally fine. Another iconic album. And, I did mention Ohio is for Lovers, but I do have to talk about the Silence in Black and White.
Yeah, that album's great. I actually saw Hawthorne Heights last year maybe, or the year before. They toured with 4 Year Strong, and that was like the best fucking it was like the best fucking show. And they went to the merch table and they were like signing shit like old days. You could just go back to the merch table and like take a picture with them and get them to sign shit. I didn't do that because I'm 5 feet tall and I'm not losing my spot up at the front. But they did it, so commends to them. They put on a good show. I saw them like once a long time ago, like probably at their height at again, either Warped Tour or Bamboozle, I can't remember. And I liked them. I actually really, really liked them a lot when they first came out, and then I just kind of fell off.
That's fair. And I had this discussion with a friend of mine at work the other day, because he goes, like, Hawthorne Heights were never really good after their first album. And I was like, I beg to differ, because while I love the Silence in Black and White, I thought the second album was better. And
yeah, I like the second album.
Yeah, and he goes, I don't even remember what songs are on the second album. And I was like, Cross Me Off Your List. I was like, Pens and Needles. I was like, Saying Sorry. And he goes, you know what? I think you might have a point. And I'm like,
yeah. That Saying Sorry, I don't know why, but that song gets me like so pumped.
It really does. And it's like the saddest song ever.
It's not a song that should do that to me, but I don't know. I just like want to turn it all the way up and just yell. It's my emo kid inside of me begging to come out.
That's me now at 33. Like at 33 years old, I will be in the car and like I'll be on my way to work, and I will blast like DMX or Jay-Z, and then I'll just be in my front seat like, and then without fail, the next song is Where Is Your Boy Tonight? I Hope. And I'm like, he is a gentleman.
Yes. We could definitely take a road trip together, because I will be the Mariah to your Jay-Z.
Yes. I need to be Busta Rhymes. I feel like I spent all my life practicing to rap fast, which is a talent I'll probably never actually need. But
what if it turns out that I was Busta Rhymes?
You know what? I'm okay with that.
That would be the biggest plot twist of the century. If you just turn on a Busta Rhymes song and I just rap clean every single word to a Busta Rhymes song, and you just have to watch me in awe with your jaw on the floor.
You know what? That would be amazing.
It could happen. Rapping is my party trick. No one ever sees it coming.
Rapping is
Rapping's my party trick. No one ever sees it coming.
To that now.
All right. I'll get you one day. Not on video though. We're not recording that.
No, we're good. That's strictly between us. It's always funny because people always expect me to rap.
Oh yeah, no one expects me to rap.
It's like if I'm ever with like all my white friends and a song comes on that has a rap part, they all suddenly turn into a meme because they all just. I'm like, I actually don't know this song. Sorry. It's another iconic album. Well, since Victory was like the king of here's the CD with a bunch of bands we think you might like and a couple we know you won't, but you're gonna listen to them anyway. Gotta have you got to mention Discovering the Waterfront.
My baby album. Oh,
The
if I
exact
had a
reaction I
child,
expected.
that would be my child. That album is my child. I think that's one of the few albums, even now, that I can listen to from beginning to end and not skip a single track.
Yep, absolutely.
Silverstein's 20th anniversary show was the last show I saw before COVID shut everything down, and I was worried they were going to cancel it because it was like, I want to say like March, the first week of March maybe.
Right.
And I think our show in Baltimore was the last one that they played, and then they had to stop.
Nice. You got lucky. Look at that.
Yeah, I got really lucky. I think Silverstein is up there with band I've seen more times than others. They've got to be close to Census Fail. Because I've been a fan of them for so long, and they are always on tour. They literally always tour. Same thing with Census Fail. They're like always touring.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, my current dream is to start a band just so I can end up on Shane's podcast. I want to be on Lead Singer Syndrome so bad.
Just do it. Just get famous.
Like, please, Shane, put me on Lead Singer Syndrome.
Uh-oh. Sorry, my alarm went off. My alarm went off.
No. Time to wake up. We're not in 2005 anymore.
Right? I feel like my phone is always interrupting us. Anyway, Silverstein, yes, definitely. I have this like frame back here. I don't know if can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
It's got all my old concert tickets in it from like the early 2000s. There's some good ones in there. Eve 6.
Oh my God, Eve 6. Holy shit.
Yeah. There's one for Saves the Day and Taking Back Sunday.
Oh, STD and TBS. That was a good tour.
From the date is covered. I can't see, but the one right next to it, it's from 2003, and I'm pretty sure they're in chronological order. So
that's
we're just
amazing.
taking it back. Yeah. Couple Warped Tour tickets in here. Bamboozle, Snoop Dogg. I'm eclectic.
Very much so, and I love it. I'm with it.
I wish I would have kept all of my ticket stubs, but they start scanning your phone and you don't print them out anymore.
Yep. Doesn't have the same effect.
Yeah.
Now you just screenshot it like, see, I did see them. That happened.
Exactly. Or you post a video on Instagram.
Yep. More iconic albums. Okay, I'm going to throw both of these albums in here because I used to legitimately use these albums to like serenade girls. So I'm going to go with Dashboard Confessional's first two albums.
Yes, God bless you.
I used to serenade so many girls. I used to serenade so many girls with Saints and Sailors over the phone every night.
I also used to serenade so many girls to those songs.
Yes, I love it. Maybe one day on the Latino Nerd, I will do an emo cover video for all of you.
I hope you do. I really do.
I will do an emo cover video. I know some people. I can get a backing band to back me up, and we're going to do this.
You should totally do it. I want to see it 100%.
I think there's probably an old video of me doing a Bright Eyes cover with a friend of mine from like 10 years ago.
I can tell you for sure that there is I'm not going to tell you where you can find it. There is a cover of me and our friend Cindy Ward, used to be in Phantasma.
Yes.
Doing a Taylor Swift cover.
I can believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I can believe it.
Yep. I'm not like I said, I'm not gonna tell you where to find it, but if you looked hard enough, I'm sure it's still on the internet.
I'm sure I'll find it.
It's out there.
Phantasma. Now, it's funny you mentioned Cindy, because I was in a very, very, very early formation of Phantasma.
They were good, man. I could have seen them going places, and I probably
Absolutely.
nobody outside the local scene that may or may not be watching this will probably understand that. But anybody who is like, Mariella, we miss you. Wish you could have been here, but
And oh my God, Mariella has such an amazing voice.
yeah, I remember. I think it was the show that I met you at. I was downstairs at like a post 282 show, and they were playing, and for some reason I wasn't upstairs when they were playing, or it was maybe right when they had finished. And I remember someone asking me like, "Oh, that's weird. That band has two vocalists," and I was like, "Nope, that's one chick.
That's it. That is one woman." But
That is one woman."
Phantasma really, really early on was actually called A Trip to Andromeda.
I actually think I knew that.
And I was the vocalist.
Well, I can't say whether or not I'd prefer you as the vocalist, because obviously Mariella is a friend of mine. But I'm glad that's not the name that they went with.
I would fucking prefer Mariella. I'm throwing it out there. I would prefer Mariella. Like if we had like become like a really, really big band and then they replaced me with Mariella, I wouldn't even have been mad. I'd be like, yeah, you know what? Fine, whatever.
Right?
Like that is her fucking band now. I'm good, fam. Oh, Phantasma.
So female fronted bands. Paramore.
Of course.
The obvious early 2000s emo choice.
All We Know Is Falling? Of course.
Yeah, I remember when I heard that album, and I was super pumped that there was like a female fronted band. I think that was a big deal for me, being like relatively involved in the music scene and having taken like vocal lessons for a long time, and being a big fan of like No Doubt when I was younger, because one, I loved them, but also because I thought it was so badass to see like a woman up there. And the fact that like Haley was so young when that band started, I was like, I almost like saw myself in her.
Absolutely.
In, you know, the corniest way possible. I thought it was so cool. I know that there's other female fronted bands out there, but Paramore was a big one for me.
I know how you feel because I remember hearing End of Heartache by Killswitch for the first time. And growing up and being told that like, oh, you listen to that white people shit, and seeing Howard Jones, this big hulking black guy. And I'm like, yes, see, it's a thing. Like, stop it. We make this music. I'm like, Killswitch, Seven Dust, fucking Body Count, Head PE. Whether you want to count them or not, like, we out here, fam.
Yeah, right. I remember like finding out that the lead singer of Killswitch was black, and I was shook. I was like, what? But you're right. It's like cool to see some type of version of yourself like represented when it's not common.
Right.
Just, you know, as unfortunate as that is for like Black people in the alternative music scene, or women in the alternative music scene, or just in general, to have someone that's doing it and that you like to see do it is, I think, super important. I think now there's a lot more out there, and also it's easier to find, but back then that wasn't the case. So it was super cool. So I totally get it.
Right. Female fronted. Well, I guess we really can't talk about it. Like, we really can't talk about female fronted bands of that era and not mention Evanescence.
Okay, Evanescence.
Fallen has to be up there.
I can appreciate that. I did an Evanescence reenactment for a drama class that I was in. We had to act out the lyrics to a song. And we chose an Evanescence song.
Nice. I remember being because I went to Rosa Parks High School in Patterson, which is a performing arts high school. So like that was our whole thing. And for part of like our midterm exam, I was in the choir, and we had to like perform our favorite song, but like make it our own. And a friend of mine, Veronica, and if you're listening, hi. A friend of mine, Veronica, we practiced and perfected like a cover of Broken by Caesar and Amy Lee, and we had it down.
Yeah.
And our choir director told us we couldn't do it, and we were like, oh, what?
Why?
I forget what her reason was, but she didn't think it was a good fit for both of us, and we were like, that's bullshit. Like, we don't think anyone in this school could do this better than us.
Ironically enough, that's the song that we chose to act out the lyrics to.
Get out of here! Wow.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
See, mental link, fam. Even before we met.
Yep. Back in I was in high school, but I don't remember what year that was. So maybe I was like 16.
Right. That's crazy though.
Yeah, fam.
But I think I had to come up with a different song on the fly, so I think I ended up just doing Yesterday by the Beatles.
Oh, okay. Well, that's an easy one.
Yeah, I put it together in like 3 days. And I was so crushed by being told no to Broken that I was like, if I didn't need this for my grade, I wouldn't do anything, because now I'm like, I don't want to.
I get like that. I'm stubborn as hell.
And I still stand by that. One day I will get Veronica back in the studio with we still gonna make that cover happen.
Do it. Redemption.
Yes, I'm still determined to make this cover happen one day. Sheesh. What other great female fronted albums were there from that era?
I remember when Bleeding Through came out. Now this is getting yeah, getting into
heavy.
like back into the heavier stuff, but that blew my mind, like hearing that band for the first time and someone telling me that was a female. And I'm looking back at myself now, I'm like kind of bummed that those things were surprising to me, because I feel like now it wouldn't be. But 10, 15 years ago, that wasn't done by a female. Like, it just wasn't.
Right. For me, it was all about Arch Enemy.
Okay, I forgot about Arch Enemy.
Yes, all about Arch Enemy and OTEP for me.
Okay, I forgot all about, yes. But Bleeding Through was the first band, like female, like band with like a female screamer that I remember hearing.
Right.
But yeah, I forgot. I didn't like Arch Enemy. I can appreciate them, but I didn't enjoy their music at all.
That's fair. MTV
Kitty.
used to.
Kitty.
Oh. Okay, so, Kitty is one of the few bands who, like, when I saw them live, actually like drove me to tears.
Really?
Yes, because and not for a bad reason. It's that I love Morgan's voice, and she did one of like their ballads. Well, not like ballads, but like one of the not as heavy songs, and it was amazing that like her voice sounded exactly the same.
I've only cried at a concert one time. And by cry, I don't mean like sob. I mean like a tear came out. A tear came out. And it was the last time, or maybe like the second to last time or whatever. But I saw Paramore on tour too. And Haley sang 26. And she started crying while she was performing it. And I was going through some rough stuff at the time, and I was like, man, like, this is a real person. You know, you forget sometimes, but I'm like, that is a real person who is really grieving right now in front of thousands of people. Like, that was such a raw moment. I'm getting like goosebumps just talking about it, but that was the one and only time that I was ever moved to tears at a concert.
Jeez. Okay, so I think I've only ever actually seen Paramore once, and I totally intend to fix that.
They're great live. Obviously enjoyed their shows more when they were playing smaller venues, but you know, when a band grows and gets bigger, there's really not a whole lot you can do about it. But I've seen them a decent amount of times, probably like 6 or 7 times.
Nice. I haven't seen the Used in years, but and I really wish someone I know out there still has the picture. I lost the actual picture years ago, but someone out there, if you're listening or if you're watching and you have the picture, please email it to me. I leave all my information in the descriptions of all my videos. But I kissed Burt McCracken.
That's amazing. Burt McCracken wrote "fuck you" on a piece of paper and gave it to me.
That's amazing. I was just fresh off of getting the In Love and Death tattoo, and this was at a Taste of Chaos. And I was shirtless for like half the show. Don't ask why. I don't know why. I had this thing where I had a real problem with keeping clothes on. But
listen, I'm not judging. Do your thing.
I went crowd surfing, and I guess Bert saw the tattoo on my back, so he walks up to me and like high fives me, and I'm like, oh my god, yay! So then after the show, we caught them at their tour bus, and I go, hey Bert, and he goes, hey, what's up, man? Did you like the show? Sick tat, by the way. And I was like, thanks. I was like, listen, it's my birthday, and I was wondering if for my birthday, if I could, and then one of my friends just yells, he wants you to kiss him, which actually, and I was like, yeah, that's exactly it. So he just goes, oh shit, man, no problem. He just fucking pulls me in, and I'm like,
that's amazing.
I felt
like my story's not nearly as cool.
I felt like Helga whenever Arnold walks by. I'm like, he makes my girlhood tremble.
I saw them at the Campus Invasion tour, and they played with Finch.
Ooh,
and yes, and I want to say it was Finch, the Used. I want to say Story of the Year was there.
Oh my god.
And then maybe like some other shitty band, like I want to say it was like the Pixies or some band that I was not into at all. And while they were playing Story of the Year, yeah, I think it was, I'm almost positive it was Story of the Year. And the Used like came out to the front of the crowd, and they handed out these like little Campus Invasion like mini notebooks. Right. And so I asked them to sign for me, and because there were so many of them, they would just sign and then like flip to the next page and sign, flip to the next page, whatever. And then when I got home, I realized Bert didn't actually sign it. He wrote "fuck you."
Oh, that's fucking great. Fuck you. Oh man, that's so good.
Yeah, and one of the dudes from one of the other bands drew, actually, I'm so mad I lost the notebook. And it's so unlike me to misplace things like that. But one of them drew a robot on one of the pages. Awesome. And it was so cool. And I don't know where that notebook went. It was on top of my TV for the longest time. And it must have just got lost or damaged or something in one of my moves. But yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's crazy. Well, fuck you.
Yep.
Yes. Speaking of Story of the Year, Page Avenue, mega iconic.
Oh, hell yeah, absolutely. Man, Until the Day I Die was like every person's away message on AIM for like at least a year.
So I was the king of aim away messages.
Weren't we all? I would put that
Yeah.
shit up, passive aggressive ass like away messages, like going to sleep, whatever, being
My
being petty.
yeah, being petty.
Me,
Um,
me being petty. Who would have ever guessed?
Go figure, right? I believe one of mine, and it was really, really popular with a lot of people. It was, and I guess now that I think about it, it's actually really fucking sad. But back then, it was my aim away message was, I used to be schizophrenic, but we're okay now. I'll be back.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Page Avenue was a great album. Actually, Story of the Year's like newest album that they put out like last year, I think, Wolves, was amazing. And if you
So
haven't heard it,
good.
dude, no one talked
So
about it.
good.
It was so good. And literally, like, I don't know anybody else who has listened to it. That album was so fucking good. I was like, and I don't know about this, like, because I wasn't really a fan of Story of the Year's like second album. And then after that, I don't even know what they put out. But when they released Wolves, I was like, I'm going to give it a try. Like, I'm not listening to anything else right now. And dude, that fucking album is so good.
Such a classic, back to front. I was like, yes. Yes. Now see, I was a fan. I was a fan of the second album. I like the heavier sound. My only complaint is that it sounded like a little too polished. Like it sounded like
Yeah,
too clean of an album.
I could definitely see that. And I feel like I was like real weird about music then. I would get into one band or one album and that's like all I would focus on. And I guess I was out of my Story of the Year obsession by the time they released their second album. So I just like gave it a spin and then like never, like if I went back and listened to it now, I might feel differently about it. But at the time I was like, meh, not for me. And then like never bothered to try it again. And I feel like even now, if I hear an album, I gotta listen to it at least like 3-4 times before I know if I like it or not. Most of the time. Sometimes I hear an album that's just a straight banger, like from the start, but it takes me a while. They have to grow on me, but that one just never did.
That's fair. One album that I can always listen to back to front, and I now like it's iconic. It's definitely an iconic album, but it's now one of the like I have a list of like 5 must hear like emo slash screamo albums, and one of the 5 is In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3, Coheed and Cambria. That is a must listen.
Coheed was one of those bands that I again like I had to let grow on me.
Right.
I just I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was like Claudio's voice.
It's probably the voice.
Or if it was just like, I mean, because their music was definitely like very mature. It was very, like they're musicians. You know what I mean? Like they're, so I don't know what it was. I think maybe I just, when I heard Coheed the first time, I think I wasn't ready to appreciate what they were actually doing.
Right. Plus, if you're like me and you first saw the video for Favorite House Atlantic and you saw that face with that voice, you were probably like, what the fuck is going on?
I think the first time I actually ever heard their music was live. And I want to say they were touring with My Chemical Romance and someone else.
I saw that tour.
Honestly, was it Midtown that they were touring with, or was it like Taking Back Sunday? I can't remember.
May have been Taking Back Sunday.
And that was the first time I ever heard them. So I had a face and a voice at the same time.
Right.
And I was like, I was not ready for that. I really wasn't. I wasn't. So maybe that's why. Maybe I think, like I said, I just wasn't, I couldn't appreciate what they were doing at the time when I first heard them. But now I feel differently. And would I say that they're one of my favorite bands? No. But I can get enjoyment out of their music now.
Right. That's fair. Yeah, so now that Coheed, even now I am a like big Coheed fan. Like I have all the fucking like comic books, all like the graphic novels. Like I'm pretty much at the point now where I could probably explain the entire story behind all of those albums. And I was so like I was so blown away, and I was like, I knew Favorite House Atlantic and I loved that song, but I had heard nothing like else of them. So on a whim, I was at Coconuts, another relic from the past, and the album was on sale for like $6.99, and I was like, I've spent $7 on way worse things. And I was not ready. While admittedly I was not ready for the first song to be like 9 minutes long. I was hooked on the album. Like by the time the album was done, I was like, holy shit! Like this was so next level.
Yeah, see, I wasn't ready for it. But like I said, I can appreciate it now, but definitely back then I couldn't.
So, geez, what else? That was like such a great decade, and like we're still like only in like the early 2000s. I think the 2010s will have to warrant a later episode as well. But um, another one of those top five albums from that era, and I'm kind of ashamed neither one of us has mentioned it yet, but I got to give it to Their Only Chasing Safety.
I was waiting for it. I was like,
Yes.
if he doesn't bring up Underoath, like I'm out of here.
No, I have to. Bring up it.
I agree, and I feel like that was another that one was, I think, a huge inspiration to even other artists. If you listen to when that album came out and then you listen to albums after it, you can 100% tell that other bands and artists were influenced by that album. And I do think that that was probably one of the first albums that I bought that had more screaming in it. Because like I said, at the beginning, I was really into like more pop punky stuff.
Right.
And that was the first time I really heard like that melodic sort of hardcore-y screamo like blended in that way, and I was like, wow, this is a game changer. And that album, like I couldn't get enough of it. I love that album.
Same. And like that, like to this day, like the album cover is still one of my favorite album arts like ever.
Yeah, it's immediately recognizable. Immediately.
I remember when like they re-released it like a year later, and like it had like the second disc of like demos of all the songs that made the album, and I was like, these are still really good. Like some of them I'm like, I could see where they changed it, but like going back and just listening to the demos of that album, and I was like, no, all of these songs are still really good.
Yeah, I went to their reunion tour. And like I said, I've been to a lot of concerts, not to be like one of those people, but I've been to a lot of concerts, and that was probably in my top 5, like just most energetic. Man, that was such a good show.
Oh yeah. Also, unpopular opinion, I thought Underoath's last album was great.
I liked it too.
I thought it was like, it was such a 180. And like, I was like, I didn't expect any of this, but I was like, no, this was such a great album.
Sometimes, like, if I put my Spotify on shuffle and like a song from their latest album comes on, I have to like look at my phone because I'm
Yep.
like, who is this? I'm like, oh, this is good. Who is this again? And then I look at my phone. I'm like, oh shit, it's Underoath. It's
Underoath.
just I like it.
And it's funny because coming back full circle, the first time I ever saw Silverstein, Underoath, Enter Shikari, who else? I think Alisana, and there was someone else. But the first time I ever saw all of those bands live, they were all with A Day to Remember.
Oh shit.
Yep.
First time I saw Underoath live was at Warped Tour, but A Day to Remember played a church basement in, God, where was it? It actually might have been Linden. It was somewhere local in Jersey. It was a church like basement show, and I was on my way to go see them. This was like just when their first album was out. And I was on my way to go see them, and our friends were already there, and one of the kids that was in our group of friends, if I remember the story correctly, like got everyone kicked out because they were he played dead. So he got everyone thrown out. And if that's not an early 2000s show story for you, I don't know what is. So I never got to go, and to this day I am kicking myself because that would have been such a cool story to be like, yeah, I saw A Day to Remember in a church basement in Union County, New Jersey. Like,
that's amazing.
And I think I saw them for the first time officially. It might have been at Starland Ballroom.
So for me, it was here we go, digging in the time capsule here. It was in the School of Rock in South Hackensack.
Oh my God, I've been there. That's not there anymore, is it?
It's now just legitimately a School of Rock. They don't do like actual like shows there anymore.
That venue was like straight up like a high school gym. It was literally just a big empty gym with like a tiny stage in the corner. I saw 4 Year Strong and Set Your Goals there with fireworks.
Holy shit. Wow.
Yeah, that's how far I go back with 4 Year Strong and Set Your Goals.
Who have I seen in School of Rock? Okay, so when I saw Day to Remember, they were actually opening for Alisana.
Okay.
That was right when my next iconic album, For Those Who Have Heart, when that had just come out. They were opening for Alisana.
Wow, really? They were still opening when that album came out?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they would have. To me, in my brain, because I was so obsessed with their first album, that I tend to forget that For Those Who Have Heart was only their second album. Like, in my brain, it doesn't compute that way. But I guess you're right. Yeah, that was kind of that album that I think made them kind of gain more speed. And then obviously, when the third album came out, that's when they really took off. But man, For Those Who Have Heart is such a good album.
It really is.
It's so good.
And
Homesick. I couldn't think of the name.
Homesick. Oh my God, that's another one. Again, two
Dude,
albums.
For Those Who Have Heart, I think. Yeah, I think For Those Who Have Heart is my favorite A Day to Remember album. That's another one like Silverstein that I can play all the way through. But I remember like I had an ex-boyfriend who he showed me, and I am so grateful that we are amicable because he showed me so many bands that I feel like I wouldn't be able to listen to anymore. Well, maybe now because I'm, in my 30s and I was like 19 when I dated him. But like, he showed me so many bands. He used to like go on Lamb Goat and be like, "Hey, I think you would like this band."
God,
and like
Lamb Goat.
Yeah, and A Day to Remember and Silverstein were two bands that he showed me, and they were really like two of my favorite, like all-time favorite bands. So I can appreciate that very much.
Nice. But yeah, I first saw Day to Remember in School of Rock, and they opened for I've seen so many bands in the School of Rock. Like I saw A Day to Remember, Alifana, Scary Kids Scaring Kids, Fear Before, Dance Gavin Dance, Escape the Fate, and even fucking Swayze. Remember Swayze?
Yes, didn't he have a song about like skateboards or something?
You know what? Aside from anything that was on that first album, I don't even remember.
I feel like it was on that first album though.
It probably was.
I don't. Yeah, but I do remember Swayze, and I also remember Gym Class Heroes.
Oh man, Gym Class Heroes. You know what? Either of those first two albums are like interchangeable for me. I will put them on back to front and rap along for like every song.
I recently just got onto like a big Gym Class Heroes kick. I was just sitting getting ready for work and I was like, I don't want to listen to Gym Class Heroes. I had seen Travi by himself at the final Warp Tour that was in Atlantic City.
Right.
And it somehow came up with a friend and we were talking about it and I was like, damn, I'm gonna go back and like listen to some Gym Class. And I was like, God, it's so clever. Like it's so good.
Like what song is that? Is it Taxi Driver? The one with like the entire rap song is band names. I think that's so amazing.
Yes. I listened to that and it like blew my mind. I was like, damn, I wish my brain worked like that.
Yeah. And that really, really sad one that there was like Faces in the Hall.
Yeah.
But as cool as School Children, like The Queen and I, every time it comes on. And it's gotten so bad that I recognize it within like the first like second of the song.
Yeah, I love that album. Oh, so good.
Oh man, see, we grew up in like the perfect era because we got to live through like, well, shit, I'm gonna say 4 decades now. We got to live through 4 decades of like iconic albums, and I feel like the '90s would have been like a 4-hour episode. So I was like, you know what, we're gonna go with the early 2000s because a lot of who we are now was shaped in that decade in particular.
Yeah, I feel like the 90s, obviously there was a ton of music that affected me in the 90s, but it was music that I was given. It was music that my mom was listening to, my brother was listening to. It wasn't music, mostly wasn't music that I sought out to listen to on my own.
Right.
Whereas like in the early 2000s, man, I was like burning mix CDs, putting that in my car, and literally I would just drive around just to listen to music. Like I was so obsessed with anything I could get my hands on. But I also think like as a young teenager, like you're seeking something different out of the music that you listen to. At least I was. Like I listen to music now because I like the beat and it's fun and I like, but back then was when I was really like listening to the lyrics and just connecting with it. And I think that's why there's a lot of bands that you mentioned that I wasn't into, and I think it was just because it wasn't what I needed at the time.
At the time, right.
But definitely was a little emo kid. I had moved. I had no friends. I moved out of state. And man, it was a weird time. It was like a weird, like dark, very sad little time for me. But music really, it's weird at what they say, but man, like it really got me through it.
Yep. Agreed. And I guess, you know what, I can't continue this conversation without mentioning what I call the 3 most iconic albums of that era.
I'm nervous. I'm scared.
All right, here we go. Here are Jordan's the remaining three of the five most important albums of the emo era. Are you ready? Here we go. Building suspense, but here we go. Ocean Avenue.
Okay. All right. That's one.
Ocean Avenue, an absolute icon of an album. Like, first of all, a pop punk band with a fucking violinist is so brilliant to me.
That this summer that album came out, I think I listened to pretty much nothing except that album and maybe Panic at the Disco and like Hello Goodbye. That was like it.
Oh my god, Hello Goodbye. I back in that weird era where everyone made like anime music videos, because AMVs were the thing. I made one using Call and Return by Hello Goodbye, which is still my favorite Hello Goodbye song.
Man, Hello Goodbye was so good. Their album just had a little avocado on the cover. I don't know why I felt that was important to say, but
it's simplistic. It's simplistic but memorable. Like, if you saw an album cover with an avocado on it, you would know it's Hello Goodbye.
Yeah, man, I love them. But okay, yes, I got a little distracted thinking about that summer. But like the fact that I can vividly remember that just goes to show you what kind of an impact that album had on me. But damn, Yellow Card, that was such a good album.
So the other one, and I feel like this is the absolute, and this is again a hill I'm willing to die on, the most important emo album of the 2000s, if not ever. I gotta go with Seosin's self-titled album.
Really?
Yes, I have to.
Okay. I mean, you're gonna die on that hill by yourself, but you can go ahead and die up there.
I'm willing to die on that hill. It would be either that or Atreyu's Death Grip on Yesterday.
Another one that I wasn't into. I
Really?
mean, I like Seosin, and Atreyu wasn't never really got into them except for like Right Side of the Bed. That was pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not on that one with you.
That's
I think
fair. That's cool.
If you had asked me back then without knowing what I know now about the members of the bands, definitely would have thrown Brand New at you.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would have thrown Brand New at you. I would say like my top, Brand New, Taking Back Sunday, ironically enough, Senses Fail. Those would have been my top three of like that time period for sure. Maybe Starting Line.
See, this would have been the part of the conversation where Mariella would have just had like permanent like stink face on, because I know of her feelings towards Senses Fail. So I picture she was just like had like screw face on the whole time.
Yeah. They were my favorite band. You would have asked me who my favorite band was at the time. After I got off of my Alexis on Fire high horse, I would have definitely told you that my favorite band was Senses Fail for sure.
Okay, so my favorite band during that particular time frame. Oh, geez. If I had to pick a favorite band specifically from that era, you know what? I think I'm sticking with the Used.
Okay, I mean,
Yeah,
you do have their logo tattooed on you, so I think that's a safe choice. But yeah, I would say Senses Fail is probably my favorite band of that era. I don't know, man. I just, like I said, they were just kind of what I needed at the time. I really connected with them.
And that's totally fair. Now, before I wrap this up, I have to know, because I had a friend tell me, and he shall remain nameless, that if I didn't mention this album, I shouldn't post the episode. And the more I think about it, he's absolutely right, and I should mention it. How do we feel about City of Evil?
What?
City of Evil. Event Sevenfold?
No, I don't like
Wow,
them.
Rick. Okay. You know
Mm-mm.
what? You know what? That's not the first time I've heard that, and I have quite a few friends who don't like them, so I'm with it.
I don't like them to the point that I didn't even know what album you were talking about until you told me who you were
That's
talking about.
that's kind of shocking because that was probably like the biggest album of '05. Like, not even kidding.
Yeah, I don't. I honestly, like, you could ask me to name 3 songs off that album with a gun to my head, and I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. I know M Shadows is the lead singer because he did that song with Good Charlotte, but
Oh my God, how could I forget the Young and the Hopeless? Wow, I almost let the episode go
yeah, man.
by. And no pads,
Good
no helmet,
Charlotte,
just
Sum
cat.
41. Yeah, Sum 41, Simple Plan. Sum 40. It's just said Sum 41, Good Charlotte.
So
That was a whole different kind of.
So you ready for my unpopular opinion?
Yeah.
I like Sum 41 better as a metal band.
Okay.
I love Chuck. I love Screaming Bloody Murder. And even the album that they just put out, I want to say like a year or two ago, I think are all brilliant. I have nothing against Sum 41 as a pop punk band. I think they're just fine. But I think when their heavier side comes out, to me, they're so much more enjoyable because they sound like they're having way more fun when they make heavier music.
I mean, I feel like it probably is way more fun to make heavier music, but I don't know. But yeah, I mean, Avenged Sevenfold, okay, I'm probably gonna get red for that, but not I just I don't know what it is, but those bands like Avenged Sevenfold and like Aiden, I just was not I just couldn't get there. I don't know if it was like the vocals or what, but wasn't for me.
Super unpopular opinion. I've never liked Aiden.
Yeah, me either. It's fine.
Don't
I'm
do it.
okay with it.
Don't do it for me.
I've learned how to accept my flaws if that is one, and that's
That's
okay.
okay. Also, and because someone else asked me to mention them, and I'm going to tell you why I don't mention them because here is the Latino nerd super unpopular opinion. I don't like All Time Low either.
Okay. So All Time Low, now that I'm a Baltimore girl, they're from here and everyone around here loves them. And I think the lead singer or maybe the guitarist or something owns a bar downtown that's like right by my job. That's actually a really cool bar. It's like a alternative style bar. They play like alt music. But not a fan of their music. I like one song by them. And they just put out a new song that's also not good. I heard it and I was like, who is this? And I found out it was All Time Low, and I was like, well, that explains why I don't like it. But
They made that one song they made, and I hate the movie with a passion, but the song they made for Jennifer's Body I thought was great.
what? I don't even remember them being in that movie. Well, I mean, like, having a song in that movie. Clearly, I
They
didn't care for it that much, but
the song
maybe I should go back and check it out.
the song Toxic Valentine. I think that song is great, but aside from that, I'm like, no. I also feel the same way about Mayday Parade, and I'm really sorry, guys, but they don't do it for me, fam.
I like some Mayday Parade songs, but I definitely feel like it's one of those. I remember like having that CD and kind of skipping some of the songs, but yeah, not. I'm with you on that one. I feel like if we agree on My Chemical Romance, then
Yeah,
we can agree on all
pretty
of
much.
these.
And I'm going to get this out of the way because someone else asked me to mention them, and I'm not mentioning them because, let's face facts, Bring Me the Horizon's first 2 albums are trash. I'm sorry. if you're watching this and this hurts your feelings, ask your doctor if dying mad about it is right for you. But their first two albums are complete and utter garbage. I'm
They're
sorry.
so good now, though.
They
In
are.
my
They're
opinion,
great
I
now.
like them now.
They're
Back then,
great now.
I wasn't a big fan of them back then. But again, I don't know if it's just because it wasn't my taste back then.
Right.
But the song that they just put out, Teardrops, that song is a fucking banger, man.
Agreed. But somebody goes, oh, you should mention Suicide Season or Count Your Blessings. There, I mentioned them. They're trash.
Here, I got a garbage can right here. You can toss it in there.
Garbage. King Basura. I love Bring Me the Horizon now, but bruh, y'all can keep those first two albums. Sorry. There was another album someone also asked me to mention because they wanted to know my feelings on it. I'm trying to think of what it is. Oh, Infinity on High by Fall Out Boy. So, are you ready for Jordan's hot take on this one?
Okay, I think so.
In my opinion, it is Fall Out Boy's best album.
I don't actually hate that album. I know that a lot of people probably do. I like that album. If you were going into listening to that album expecting something that sounds like their first album, that's not what you're going to get. But
exactly,
if you listen to their albums in chronological order, the sound of that album makes perfect sense. And that's how I feel about Paramore too. When people are like ripping on After Laughter and they're like, it doesn't even sound like Paramore. I'm like, if you listen to all the Paramore albums from front to back in a row in chronological order, it was a clear direction that they were heading in. Unless you want to have 8 albums that all sound exactly the same.
Exactly. See, people don't like After Laughter bothers me because I would say if not for their self-titled album, I would have said After Laughter is my favorite Paramore album.
I love that album. It's so good. It's so like pure. It's so good. I don't know. I love that album. I think it's my favorite.
And you know what? I would actually agree because one thing I've always liked about Paramore, and anytime I mention Paramore, they're one of the few bands where every single new Paramore album is always superior to the one before it.
I agree. I can't think. I mean, their self-titled album is probably my least favorite out of the whole entire collection of albums. Yeah, I know, but I still like it. It's not that I don't like it. It's just not, if I had to put them in order, like that would be last. But I still like it and I still listen to it. I still enjoy it very much. It's just like if I absolutely had to pick on a list, it would be at the bottom. But that's just I don't know, man. That they're one of those bands that literally I've not ever been disappointed by an album release from them.
That's fair. There was another request I also got. I'm just gonna get those out of here. Oh, actually, this was one when someone asked me to mention this. I have no problem mentioning this album because I love it, and I feel like to this day these guys don't get their just due. So here it is. Don't You Fake It by Red Jumpsuit Apparatus is a fantastic album.
It's so good. I read that album really is good. And kind of piggybacking off of that, The Audition. Do you remember them?
Yes.
Yeah, I really liked them too. And I feel like they were kind of a band that didn't get a lot of recognition.
Yeah, The Audition, Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. And I even thought that like Red Jumpsuit Apparatus's like second and third albums were great, but I think by then the rest of the world were like, yeah, we're kind of over them. And I don't really think it's fair because like they have some great shit.
Yeah, I actually forgot all about them, but great band.
Yeah, The Audition is another one. Was another great band that Oh, speaking of, before our last episode, I was telling you about the band that I loved, and they only existed for one album. I remember it now. It is You in Series.
Who was it?
You in Series.
Oh, okay. You kind of broke up a little bit.
Yeah.
I
You
don't
in
know who
Series.
that is. I don't know who that is. I never heard of them.
Don't feel bad. They literally only existed for one album. But if I played the song, or if you heard the song, you would probably be like, "Oh shit, I remember this song."
I can't believe I'm just now thinking of this. But an album that I literally played until it melted was Something Corporate's Leaving Through the Window.
Oh my god.
Yes. That and like Juliana Theory were like my emo
Wow,
sad.
Juliana Theory.
Yes, but I can't believe I didn't think of Something Corporate up until now. Like, obviously, I don't know. I was thinking of Red Jumpsuit Apparatus because I saw them right after Jack's Mannequin played
Oh my
at
god,
Warped Tour.
Mannequin.
Exactly. And then Jack's Mannequin made me think of Something Corporate, and here we are. So, yeah, Something Corporate, Leaving Through the Window was one of those albums that I would just put on and be sad to. I loved that album.
Now, see, I have a love-hate relationship with Something Corporate because I don't think they're a bad band at all. It's just my friends thought it was funny to sing "If You See Jordan" every time they saw me, and I'm like,
Of course they did.
oh God, like why? Why is that the only song in existence that bears my name?
There's none that bear my name that I can think of. So
You know what? Now
at least you got that.
I have to find that out. I have to find that out now.
I mean, good luck. I know that there's a Supergirl. Her name is Kara, and and there's a Kara in Halloween 6, Kara Strode. But no songs about me that I know of. It's not a very popular name.
I'm gonna look this up now.
All right. Well, if you find something, let me know.
No, but there is a band. There's
a band?
There's a Korean girl group named Kara.
Oh, yes. Wait, there is one song by Jay and the Americans. It's like a really old song.
Wow, there's a list of songs. There's a list of songs that have that are named after women. There's apparently a whole database for it.
You can find anything on the internet now.
So I'm going to see any mentions of Karas. Plenty of Karens. Yeah, I always hated that, like, and If You See Jordan is a good song in its own right. I'm just, every time I hear it, I'm like,
yeah, I get that. I get that.
It's almost as bad as, oh, you must be named after Michael Jordan. It's like, no. I'm not. I'm named after my uncle.
People's logic just blows my mind sometimes. I just don't get it.
I'm pretty sure my mom didn't give a shit about the NBA when she was pregnant with me, so I don't think that that's the case. I don't think my mom gives a shit about the NBA now. So
yeah, right.
So I don't think, like, my mom's a baseball fan. Don't talk to her about anything but baseball. She's gonna tune you right the fuck off. So yeah, I think we have pretty much covered all of our. I think we've covered all of our emo bases. Is there anything we may have missed?
I'm looking at my walls right now. I've got some books from Warped Tour, actually.
Nice.
And I should have brought them out earlier and flipped through them just to see if anything came up that we might have forgotten.
A fever you can't sweat out.
I mentioned Panic at the Disco, but we didn't really talk about it much. But when that album came out, I really liked it. It was very different from anything that I was listening to at the time.
Right. I find it funny that like pictures of like Panic at the Disco from 2004 and 2005 pop up on the internet, and it's like, wow, those fucking nerds made this album.
Yeah, I love that album. I'm gonna take my phone off this thing and go over to my my box and get that Warped Tour magazine out just really quick. While we're talking about Panic at the Disco, because I have it right here. It's from, where is it? Maybe it's not in here. I thought it was. No, it's not in here. I don't know where it is. I lied. I'm sorry. I have a Warped Tour program in here, but it's not the one I thought it was.
Right.
Damn. I wonder where that is.
What else am I missing? I mentioned them briefly, but I guess Dying is your latest fashion.
Oh man, wait. There can I turn this around?
I think so, yeah. There you go.
All American Rejects.
Oh my god. Swing Swing. One of the greatest songs ever.
Dance Gavin Dance, another band that I never really super got into.
Oh, really? I don't often do this because I hate like when music or bands get shoved down my throat. But I will say, if you ever get the chance, just give them another shot. I can't really recommend any Dance Gavin Dance album because I love all of them.
I think it was, there's a couple Dance Gavin Dance songs that I have on my phone, but didn't they change their vocalist?
Twice.
Yeah, I think that was the issue for me, is I didn't like the vocals.
The current vocalist is the longest tenured one. He's been on 4 albums so far.
Okay.
And those 4, actually the 4 that he's on, are the 4 I prefer.
Okay. Yeah, some in here that we forgot to talk about. Circa Survive.
Like, see, Real Big Fish, I could talk about Real Big Fish all day.
Yeah?
Yeah, I love Real Big Fish. Sleeping with Sirens. I love ska in general. The Story So Far, another band named after a Newfound Glory song.
Oh, fucking Thrice, dude. What?
Oh, The Artist in the Ambulance. Fuck yes.
How did we forget about Thrice?
The Artist in the Ambulance. Great fucking album.
Yeah. I don't know. That's all I got, I think. Oh, you can. Oh, I didn't realize you can totally see my slippers.
Fucking win. This wouldn't be the Blatino Nerd without something nerdy popping up.
Oh my god. Oh, because I was sitting down and you obviously couldn't see my bottom half, but now you can.
Tara, living up to the motto. Keep it nerdy. Oh my god, they fucking sing. Oh, that is fucking brilliant. Well,
yeah,
I think that we have covered pretty much the albums that have shaped us and many of the people listening and watching right now.
I think so. I think we did a good job. And if anybody has a problem with it, they can come find me.
Or catch these hands. But if you guys at home are watching and you think there's any we may have missed, comment section right there below. You know what to do. I thank you again for joining me.
Thanks again for having me. It's always so much fun.
And thank you guys again for tuning into the Blatino Nerd. I will catch you on the next one. And as always, keep it nerdy.
Bye.